This is Colin Dixon with nScreenNoise, and I'm speaking with Todd Erdley, founder, chairman, and president of Videon, and the new CEO of Videon, Rob Green. Welcome, guys.
Thanks very much, Colin.
Thank you, Colin.
It's great to have you on. And I want to say, first of all, congratulations on closing the financing round. That's great news, but we will get to that in just a moment. First, why don't I turn to you first, Todd? Tell us about Videon.
Yeah, Videon is a company that I founded 20 plus years ago. And the notion of Videon was, how do we bring key intellectual property and engineering services to the semiconductor industry in support of digital video? So what started with early entrant into creating new solutions for this emerging thing called DVD many years ago has evolved over and over with major semiconductor partners and major OEMs to be other things in optical disc or other things in the Google TV space or things associated with Chromecast or smart TVs. And ultimately, where we are right now, using parts and partnerships with Qualcomm and identifying great products for the live streaming market.
So where did the idea for Edgecast come?
So great question. We've continually used semiconductors in different ways than what the target market might have been. So, we've worked with companies like Qualcomm, and there's Qualcomm with a great cell phone chip that has wonderful compute power and it has core function as a cell phone. But you know what else that Qualcomm chip can do? More and more, it's becoming a camera rather than a cell phone. So the idea was, how do we redeploy the assets of that particular technology to create a device that could enable any video, any baseband video, HDMI, SDI, come into that processor, have all the processing power of that cell phone chip, but also have massive amount of compute. And so we came out with the idea of bringing this product forward. It was first out in the notion of 4K video under 2K a cost. And that was the implication of Edgecaster back in 1997. And we've been evolving the product ever since then.
Very good. And so Todd, Rob, why don't you walk me through, how do I deploy this?
Well, the product is pretty simple to deploy. It's a low power appliance. It's roughly the size of a small book. It contains an SDI input, an HDMI input, a network connection. It can run power over Ethernet, and essentially you plug it in and select a profile, and that's it. It's very straightforward.
So how are you deploying this? We talked about some deployment, how it's deployed, but I'm really interested in real deployments. And I think unusually, last year was a pretty bad year, I think, in general for live because of sports basically going away. But you didn't have a bad year last year, did you? There were a couple of deployments that you did to actually help things that would have been live continue to be delivered live. So tell us about a couple of the applications. Todd, I think you delivered an opera.
Yeah, we delivered an opera. I get tingles even thinking about what I'm going to tell you. A year plus ago, it was March, and there was the Taiwan opera that was about to premiere an event written by a composer, Defala. And 2 days before the event was to go live, they were shut down because of COVID. But what they were allowed to do was do one more performance, but it was the dress rehearsal. So nobody could be in, they could do the dress rehearsal. So what happened is our local integration partner, Rexel in Taiwan, brought 4 Edgecaster encoders to the Opera House, deployed them very quickly, had to leave and had to rely on the Opera House people to set this up and get it working. And the morning that Videon found out we weren't allowed to go to work anymore, our team at 7 a.m. our time was able to watch a 4-camera angle live stream of the dress rehearsal of this opera. And it was so impactful. And as a matter of fact, that Opera House only seated a couple of thousand people, but that live stream was seen by 50,000 people worldwide. And here's the fun fact. The composer, Defala, saw it in Spain And as COVID restrictions were eliminated, he went back to Taiwan and conducted the next version of the opera live with a true audience. And so we created a life connection moment with that deployment.
And I suppose this brings us very neatly to your funding round. I mean, it sounds like the proof points were last year for the value of the technology. So you did your first funding round, but quite unusual to do a Series A this late in a company's life. Rob, tell us about that.
Sure. You're absolutely right, Colin. If there's another 23-year-old hardware-based company that got a Series A this year or even last year, I'd be pretty surprised. And what that really speaks to is, Videon's a very high-quality company with great people, but the direction we're going, of course, is what the investors invested in. And the reason, and I was attracted to the company as well, is that they've done something very, very clever. And what it amounts to is that, almost all encoding appliances, or I could even probably state all at this point, I'm not sure there's another one that's doing this, work as single function devices. When Todd and the team architected the Snapdragon product and built the first encoder, a lot of the video processing was offloaded, and it freed up core CPU for other functionality. And so what we did is essentially productize this core core CPU that's available into a development environment that companies can write to. And essentially what it all boils down to is we've taken some of the functionality that you would deploy in the cloud and moved it to the point of origin. And the reason to do that is it's just cheaper for a lot of functions, and it can influence video in a real-time way. And so we're not competing with AWS. We're a complement to it. We like to say we're, again, extending the cloud to the point of the edge. And that's what ultimately attracted the investors. They see a lot of efficiencies with that, and ultimately efficiencies went out in the market.
So what do you plan to do with the money?
Well, when you're bootstrapping a company for a long time, you tend to not be able to be that strategic, right? It's much more of a tactical operation. This money allows us to really have a longer range plan. It allows us to bring in a lot more people, super high quality people. We've mentioned in the press release Trisha Boshi, and she's got a great track record. I've known her for a long time. And so we're going to use it for sales, marketing, growth, and some engineering functions. We want to build out our on-prem cloud service as quickly as possible.
Fantastic. Okay, so what do we see for the market going forward? How is live? I mean, it looks like live growth online is up and to the right. Does that mean that that's the same opportunity for Videon?
It does. Yeah. And actually, we see that live is going to be transformed, and we see Videon as the core to transforming live video. And here's really what it gets down to. We are all accustomed to the fact that live video is going to move to the cloud. Cloud's going to do what it's going to do, and you have these disparate elements that are trying to work together. They're kind of cobbled together. And that creates kind of a clunky solution, with all due respect to the industry and the great work that's been done. By moving critical functions in the cloud to on-prem and using our video compute platform, we're effectively tying together the ecosystems. And by enabling that with a friendly developer environment where what you've developed in the cloud can seamlessly move to on-prem at the point of video origin, now you can create transformative, higher reliability, higher quality, lower latency, lower cost workflows.
It sounds like we're going to be hearing a lot more from Videon. Now you've got this funding, a lot more marketing, and we'll be hearing a lot more about you. So I hope you guys will come back and talk to me again and tell me about the great progress you've made. Todd, Rob, thank you for speaking to me.
Thank you, Colin. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Time is much appreciated, and thank you so much.
Yeah.
This has been Colin Dixon with nScreen Media.